The Bride of the Cursed Lake, Chapter 8, Whispers of Ritual, Part 3. We'd been walking for hours, or maybe longer. The fog never let me tell. The trees grew denser, the air heavier, the earth beneath our feet soft with rot. Thomas's steps slowed long before mine did. I could hear him muttering behind me, nervous scraps of half-prayers and postal sayings, voice thin as the mist. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. Somewhere along the way he must have fallen behind, or maybe I just left him there. I'm not sure I noticed the moment it happened. All I knew was that the path kept pulling me forward. The marks in Anna's notebook, the sketches, the symbols, they led here. The pattern was clear. 7 stones and a white feather. I followed it, through the thick and silent wood until the clearing opened before me. Too perfect, too still. The mist gathered low, pooling like breath held too long. The monoliths stood in a ring, their shapes worn but unyielding. Symbols carved deep into their surface, like old wounds refusing to close. I reached for the nearest stone, my fingers tracing the pattern as if my hands had always known the way. Grief and madness blurred together beneath my skin. The lines felt familiar, not learned, but inherited, written somewhere in the blood. Each stone matched her sketches. I felt her presence there, just out of sight. The silence hummed like a tuning fork, like the moment before a storm. I could almost see her, Anna with her notebook, moving from stone to stone, her hair a bright halo against the mist. I could almost hear her voice, tracing the lines with her gentle breath. At the circle's center I knelt to the earth, blackened like the inside of an abandoned hearth. My hand sank into the blackened soil. The ash was thin, clinging to my fingers like the ghost of something burned long ago. A ritual that hadn't quite finished dying. A terrible excitement rose within me. The transformation wasn't death, it was transcendence. The note she'd made, the songs and stories, they were all leading here. Mr. Marrow. Thomas's voice came from the edge of the clearing, unsteady. He got up, out of breath, refusing to cross the circle's threshold. I delivered to the threshold, Mr. Marrow. Never cross it. Anna was here, I said, ignoring his fear, letting my own certainty drown it. It's just like she drew it. I could see the alarm in his eyes, the way his hands gripped at his shirt sleeves. He stood back, one foot already retreating. Maybe we should turn back, he suggested, nervous. Look somewhere else. You can't see it, I said. I barely looked at him. The circle held me in its grip. This is what she wanted. What she followed. I moved between the stones, tracing their surfaces, their meaning. Wax, hardened and old. Bones, small and fragile. A broken ring of them circled the center. I saw the remnants of Anna's touch everywhere. I saw her fate. It's just wrong. Thomas stammered, his voice cracking. Nothing good ever comes from places like this. The feather came next, the same, downy white as the others. It lay between the stones, soft and pure, against the dark earth. I held it up, my heart a wild drum beat. The world spun around that single point, around that singular truth. Anna must have been here. Mr. Marrow, I don't think you should. Thomas's words were a blur, a ghost's warning. I couldn't stop. I took out my own notebook, the one I'd brought for evidence, for answers. I copied the symbols in a frenzy, my mind searing them into my soul. The pattern, I muttered, more to myself than to him. It's all here, the transformation. He watched me with growing dread. These things, sometimes it's better not to know. That's not true, I said. Not for me. I felt a crack in his resolve, a fear so deep he could no longer hide it. He fidgeted with his glasses, unsure of himself, unsure of everything. I continued sketching, tracing the outlines, mumbling pieces of Anna's notes, like incantations. Words like wings, I said, half lost in her voice, in my own echo. They don't let go, Thomas warned, the truth raw on his lips. The stones alone aren't enough, I replied, my eyes scanning the circle, knowing it was only a beginning, an outer ring. She wouldn't stop here. There might be more, he said reluctantly, as if trying to save me from myself. There is, I insisted, deeper, closer. She was on her way to the center of the curse. It's dangerous, he said, not for the first time, not for the last. The woods, they don't like being watched. They can't stop me, I said, almost laughing. Nothing can. He didn't understand. I almost pitied him for it. How fear kept him human. How I was already past the point of knowing the difference. I took one last look at the circle, one last glimpse of the truth it offered. My hands trembled with certainty. I had to find more. The center, the heart of it all, lay just beyond. Come on, I said, turning my back to the only warning he'd ever give me. We can't stop now. Thomas hesitated, his steps as reluctant as his voice. But he followed. We both did,